the issue that it was being edified. And it was saying, Matt, this is your goal. This is your standard.
And welcome again to another episode of Hello Haymarket. I'm your host, Daniel Nyce, and today with me I have Mr. Matt Kneece, who is a realtor down in Charlottesville. We did a deal together earlier this year, and I thought to myself, this guy has a lot to share, and I would love to have him on our podcast. Matt, thank you for joining us today.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here on the podcast this afternoon. It was really nice to work with you earlier this year. I think it's one of the gems of being in the real estate business is you end up on the other side of a transaction with people who can become friends.
Absolutely.
Or that are friends. 100%. So it's really neat. It's nice to be here.
100%. Well, I appreciate you making the drive up.
Yeah, of course.
And of course, after this, we've got the grid meeting, which I believe you're going to stick around if you have the time and try to do some networking amongst some more peers, right? Some real estate investors. So, Matt, can you give us a background on you, right? Mm-hmm. Now, did you spring fully formed from the head of Zeus as a rock star realtor, or how did you get here?
No, this is a third or fourth career, depending on how you look at it for me. So originally, I kind of start from college, because that was the first kind of career trajectory. I played college basketball, which if I stood up would be no surprise due to the height. I was originally studying athletic training, and that was the first career I was interested in. Then after that, I took my first sales job. I wound up in physical therapy after that, and then real estate only the past 3 years. So now in hindsight, we look at getting into real estate in 2021 as lucky. We didn't know it was going to be that way at the time.
Yep.
I got my license 2 weeks before the shutdown. So I got my license February 25th of 2020.
So,
and I think the shutdown date was the 13th of March.
I want to pause you right there. So February 2020, take a guess when I got licensed.
Tell me it was the same week.
No,
okay.
It's close. It's close. I beat you by January.
Oh my gosh.
So
Crazy.
I can claim to be the experienced old-timer in the room now.
Yeah. I can see the gray hairs coming in.
There they are.
Makes sense.
There they are,
now
right?
Makes sense.
Every gray hair is a time that a client told me, hey, I'm firing my lender, or I quit my job, or I bought a car.
Seriously. Yeah, it has to come together just like that.
Yeah. All right, so Matt, so you started right before the shutdown. What was that like?
At the time we didn't know. My last career before real estate was in physical therapy. I was working a salaried position. I have some core memories of why I knew from that position that I needed to be self-employed, and I can share more about that. At the time, I got my real estate license. I had no idea what was going to come of it. I had high hopes, but I was just working my job, and then we got furloughed. I remember in my first year, I think I had 5 sales all year long, and we just didn't know what was going to happen because sales were evaporating left and right because of the shutdown. People weren't moving anymore.
Yep.
It was a crazy year, but all my mentors, everyone that was encouraging me, said, keep the faith, keep working hard. Doesn't matter if you get the results. Keep pushing and it's going to turn out, and that's what happened over time.
Yeah. It's some crazy statistic, like 87 or something % of people who enter this industry leave it shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
Right? And I think one of the reasons for that is that people come from a W-2 mindset where they wear one hat.
Yes.
And suddenly they're wearing every hat.
Yes.
Right? They have to worry about the sales and the marketing and the admin and everything else, right?
100%.
Was that like a shock for you, or did you have some guidance that kind of made it easier?
As far as the mindset piece, I welcomed it. I was ready for it. Yeah, I welcomed it. I was ready for it. I had read Rich Dad, Poor Dad a very long time ago, and that was one of the books that shaped my mindset the most. When I got my first job, I'll kind of talk about that a little bit. When I got my first job, right out of college, it was a 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. sales job. I was on the phones all day long. I was talking to people, selling a product to people I didn't know that I didn't like. I didn't like the product. I wasn't passionate about it. And it was everything I didn't want. It was rigid. There was no flexibility. I wasn't making a lot of money. It taught me over time that I needed to be self-employed. And so when I got into real estate and I finally experienced being entrepreneurial, I had built a mindset over several years that had prepared me for that moment, and it prepared me going into it. So I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed kind of creating a business and creating that lifestyle that I had been waiting for a long time.
Yeah, I can say from the first experience, and so far the only deal we've done together, but hopefully we'll do more in the future. I definitely have some clients that are interested in Charlottesville real
That's
estate.
great.
You had a very intentional way of interacting, right? Where you were very reliable, you were prompt.
I appreciate it.
It came across that you cared, right? And I can't say that for everyone I work with.
I appreciate
right?
that.
So it makes sense to me that you would have been coming from a background where you were not passionate about what you were doing and you wanted to find something where you could be.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And during our discovery call, we mentioned life by design.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me where that first came into picture for you. When did you start thinking? Was it the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, or was it something else?
Yeah, so it was a couple of things. Thank you, by the way, for the compliment. I really appreciate that. I put a lot of effort into being intentional, especially about communication. I think, just as an aside, and then I'm happy to answer your question, I just want to really thank you for that compliment. One of the things that sets agents apart the most is responding to calls, emails, and texts.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yes.
I can't quote this statistic. It's in a bunch of books, or you can Google it, but it's basically regarding realtors not picking up the phone and calling people back. Like 40% of realtors won't call a lead back, or something
that's
crazy.
Just mind-bending.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me. And just as an aside, one of the reasons why I was not bothered when I heard some of these stats getting into real estate, that 80% of people don't make it their first year. Half of realtors make less than 10 grand a year and do one sale a year. Part of the reason that these statistics didn't bother me is, one, I didn't expect to be average. And two, average was not impressive. I mean, it's not like these people were working 60 hours a week and failing. They weren't building the business. They weren't working and not getting results. It kind of added up very simply. So to answer your question kind of about where this came from, when I was graduating college, right afterward, I actually met a lot of people that were doing network marketing. And funny enough, it was some of those folks who started to change my mindset. And at that time, it's when I learned the three things that change how you think the most are what you read, what you listen to, and who you hang out with. And you're destined, by the law of association, you're destined to become like the 5 people you hang out with. So if you hang out with 4 rich people, you're destined to become the 5th. If you hang out with 4 morons, you're destined to become the 5th. And that's when I just started to want to associate myself with people who had in life what I wanted. And it wasn't always as simple as rich, poor, smart, dumb. I'm using blanket terms, but did they have relationships that I liked with friends or their spouse? Income is important. So were they able to do things that I wanted to do when I was their age? And when I started to associate myself with people like this, I started to see what they did when they were 25. And I started to ask them about what they did when they were 25. I just started to do those things. And now I feel closer to those goals than what I started.
Yeah, absolutely. You're making me think about my own journey. When I first started in real estate, I interviewed with several teams, and one of the things that I loved about the Casa Group and about Keller Williams is when I came into the office, on all the walls, they had all the same messages that I have been reading and studying my whole life, right? I felt like the vibe was right, to coin a phrase that people, the kids use these days, right?
Yeah.
I had to find the right vibe. And I can still remember walking in and seeing one of my now partners, Ali, bouncing on the trampoline like Tony Robbins, getting psyched up for his calls.
That's
right?
funny.
And I knew immediately that was a place that I would feel at home, where I would feel like I had found a tribe that was going the same direction I wanted to go. Right, where oftentimes people go to work and they feel like it's an uphill battle. Like just having the energy to get through the conversation with that coworker is going to be my challenge of the day.
Yes.
And not having to do that, but looking forward to the opposite, where it's like, hey, I have this challenge in my personal life, or I have this challenge in my work life, and I know that I have a tribe of people who are going to have my back. Right? Who believe what I believe 100%. And have the same North Star. It just makes a huge difference.
100%.
A huge difference. So I've got to ask you, I started on a team. Did you go as a solo agent? Did you decide to do the team route? How did that evolve for you?
Yeah, great question. Thank you for asking. So I started solo, and I think in the development of a young real estate agent, starting as a solo producer can be one of the best things for you. I think what we find on our team, and just in passing, is that when you start as a solo agent, you appreciate teams more because you remember what you did. I did it for 12 months. You remember what it was like to not have a transaction coordinator. You remember what it was like to do all your own marketing, all your own paperwork, everything. I mean, everything that we talk about falling under the job description of a real estate agent. So when you transition, so many. So when you transition to being on a team, you don't take that for granted anymore, whatever your situation is. So my first year, I started at a local company in Charlottesville. I guess I won't say it, but a very respectable company. I think very highly of them. I won't say it. But I started there. I don't regret it. Best place ever I could have started. And there is one story kind of alluding to when you were saying the tribe message. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest differences I saw was the mindset, because the imagery that you were talking about, they're not just pictures on the wall, but the people in this office reflect it and they believe it, and it's a reflection of the values in this office. So when I was looking to make a change, I was at the first company. I did 5 sales my first year. I made $25,000 for perspective in all of 2020. When I was wanting to make a change at that office, I was doing well. And people thought I was performing well. I was rising up to the expectations of the people around me, and that was the problem. I was already a top producer. I was already kind of a big dog. And then to name drop a couple of folks that I think extremely highly of, I met a man named Keith Hinton. I don't know if you've met Keith Hinton before. He runs a couple market centers. He's a phenomenal person. I've gotten to build a relationship with him. Keith, you're the man if you see this. And he told me a story. At the same time, I remember specifically, an agent at my old company was being edified for selling $5 million in real estate in 3 years. Total in 3 years.
Yeah.
I know now, I'm sure you'd agree, that's not very much business.
No.
Okay. The issue is not that agent. He's a very nice person. The issue that I was being edified, and it was saying, Matt, this is your goal. This is your standard. And then I met Keith, and he was telling me about a guy named Steve Akery. I don't know if you know Steve Akery down in Lynchburg. He's become a phenomenal friend of mine. Steve, you're also the man. And he was telling me about Steve. Steve's around my age. I think he's in his late 20s. And Keith was saying that in Steve's first 12 months, his first 12 months in the business, I think he had 40-something transactions and, some odd million in volume. Mm-hmm. And the difference wasn't the people or, the person at my first company or Steven. The difference was the expectation. Because Steven was one of a dozen success stories that Keith could tell me. And I was like, okay, now I know going from one office to the other, the expectation's going to change, the mindset's going to change, the association's going to change. It's going to go from top performer to this is the expectation here.
Yes.
We're good agents here.
Yes.
And we succeed. And that's how it started to grow as I got around people like Keith and Steve who could show me, Matt, if you do these steps, you can create whatever life you want. You can break it down very simple.
I think there's a lot of confusion out there where people think that you will rise to the occasion.
No.
But instead, we fall to the level of our preparedness, of our disciplines, or our standards is another way of saying that, right? You actually fall down to the level of your standards. And so when you decide to enter into a new environment, you have to be very purposeful about what kind of environment you're submerging yourself in.
Very true.
Because those are the standards that you're going to be surrounded by.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why when I was interviewing with the different teams, I wanted to be a part of a team.
Yes.
Now, I see what you're saying about that first year as a solo agent teaches some very important lessons about the different hats where you can appreciate the value that a team brings and that the leverage brings. And someone who's never had that experience may not see that the same way, right? Or treat it with the respect that it really can command.
Definitely.
For me, I was coming from already running my own business.
Yes.
And I knew the kind of adrenal fatigue that can come with trying to wear that many hats. Because it's just unsustainable, I think, for some people. And I would count myself among them.
Yeah, I agree.
So for me, I knew that coming in, I wanted to be a part of a team. And I chose very carefully, right? When interviewing, I tried to interview other people who had come and gone from those teams, right?
Very smart.
And another simple question was, would I trade places with you? It's kind of, I very much connected with what you said about why is the standard being set at 3 million or whatever it is? Why is that being edified? That is not a goal that I would want. to set for myself. I would want to set a higher goal. You're giving some shout outs. I'll shout out someone who I shout out all the time, Matt Kneece. He's been my mentor.
Very nice.
And I met with him before I joined the team. I interviewed him and met his family, his wife at his home, and his 3 young girls. And I thought to myself, seeing the home where he lived, the family that he had, the life that he had built, I thought I would trade places. This is something where I would be so happy if I ended up where you are.
100%.
And so that sold me, right? If we had just discussed business, then it would have been just like all my other interviews, and I would have moved along.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a world of a difference.
So life by design. Let's fast forward. Where are you designing your life to be? What are you hoping for?
So what we have planned out, what I envision, I try not to hope. I try just to work with a plan, set goals and work with a plan. So my biggest goal is actually as a real estate investor. It's the reason why I got into the real estate business in the first place. When I was 25, 26, I started reading about real estate investing. I genuinely believe that investing in real estate is the best thing you can do with your money. That's not just us talking. If you go buy a house somewhere else, I hope you do. It's a really good investment.
Yeah.
But at the problem, I was 25. I had zero money. I had no experience. I had no knowledge. I had no idea what I was doing. And I didn't even have a lot of time because I was working full time.
Yeah.
So I thought, shoot, I'll get my license, learn what to do, make a decent living, and kind of start my investing journey from there. So my 5-year plan or 6-year plan until I'm 35 years old is I work with my business partner. He's my best friend. I'm extremely lucky to be able to work with him. Our goal is to own 75 units by the time I'm 35. I'm a year older. So 6 years from now, we want to own 75 units. And in unison with that goal, a parallel goal is that I'm going to get my broker's license later this year, and we're going to start a property management company. So we're going to completely outsource the property management in-house, which means we can keep the money in the family and hopefully pay an amazing person a salary to run that company.
Yes.
And the reason for 75 by 35, to touch on that a little bit, I've done the math several times over. In investing, there's about a dozen ways you can do the financials, but around 75 units will be approximately a 6-figure income for each, my partner and I, net cash flow. So the reason for that goal is that's my retirement plan. I don't even want to say I've burned the ships. I had no ships to burn. I never worked a corporate job, so I didn't have a 401k. I don't have a retirement account. This is my retirement plan. And the way I look at it, what a beautiful problem to have if I miss that goal.
Yeah.
What if I don't hit it until 40? Oh, shoot, I'm 40 with a $100,000 a year. Complete. We laugh because it's
cry me a river.
What a gorgeous problem to have, It's like,
my dad would call that a happy problem.
Yeah, I call that a happy problem. And I think that's the power of real estate investing this is a very realistic goal.
Yeah.
Will I hit it by 35? Will I hit it by 37? If I don't hit it until 55 or 60, $100,000 a year is still a lot better retirement plan than a lot of people have right now.
Yeah.
If that takes 20 years to prepare. So that's our plan. Frankly, I would leave sales in the next 5 years. I would consider running a very small team just to add value to the community in unison with our other businesses. But we already own 7 properties, and I really see that becoming my key focus in the next 36 months.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
That's awesome. One of the things that I like about that is how it's not just about what you're doing for yourself, but about how you're serving the community, how you're trying to create something that allows it to, quote, keep it in the family even, right? How you're trying to support others. I know that my own experience, right, one of the things that Matt Kneece, my partner, amongst his goals when we're setting our goals for each year is his goal that he has for each of the members of his team. What income goals he's trying to help them reach. And he invests his time, his energy.
That's huge.
He shares business to help them get cut their teeth.
Yeah.
Right? It's an incredible thing to know that you played a role in helping someone else get because we were there too.
I agree.
Right? We were there too. Heck, 3 years in the business, we're still there. We have a long way to go. So being able to both look up and have someone help you to the next rung, but then look back and help them up to the rung you were coming
Yes.
from. I think
totally
are both
agree.
very important, for
I
sure.
totally agree.
One of the things that you mentioned was your choice to become a realtor is in part because you wanted to be a real estate investor.
Mm-hmm.
When I first interviewed at the Casa Group, I met with Rob Chavez. Rob Chavez runs the whole thing. And I explained to him my interest in real estate investing. And he said, well, here's what you need to do, Dan. Since you don't have a lot of assets yet and you don't have a lot of income yet, how about you come work as a realtor? Because you're going to make scalable money while you are learning the industry.
Yes.
Right? So you're winning on two fronts already. And an investor has to have some of their money in the deal most of the time in order to get paid out on a real estate deal. A realtor has no risk.
None.
The realtor is still getting their cut without having to put anything, no principal involved, just their time.
So true.
And that made so much sense to me.
Yeah.
That made so much sense to me. The other thing that you said that I want you to actually touch on more is the fact that you have planned your exit. Yes. Nobody wants to be in sales to the end of their life. Well, maybe someone.
Someone might.
I don't plan to be in sales when I'm 80 years old.
Agreed.
At that point,
Agreed.
I would like to be focused on my family.
Agreed. Yeah, so a couple of things. One, thank you for the compliment. And two, just to speak on the investing piece and maybe to the power to someone else, if you're interested in real estate investing, get your license. It can only help you. It's worth the time and the education. It can really only help you. I heard something at Mega Camp in Dallas that really struck me. I think it was Gary Keller, and he said something to the effect of, in the real estate business, we can hear about a deal off market, we can take advantage of it, we can work on it ourselves, we can take a piece of information behind closed curtains, so to speak, and then make a business decision based on that. If someone did the exact same thing in the stock market, it would be called insider trading and it would be illegal.
That's right.
Here, we're incentivized to do it. It's almost promoted to do the same thing. So there's immense power and benefit to real estate investing, and I have several friends in town in Charlottesville, where I live, who are investors, and they have their licenses with very good brokers, and it's very beneficial to them.
So your exit, a lot of people don't think that far ahead, right?
Yeah.
They don't know what am I building here?
Well, I think too. So for me, everything comes back to mindset. I have this. I heard this theory a very long time ago. It's kind of coined the bungee cord theory, and the idea is that there's a bungee cord that attaches where you are in life and your mindset. And the further, just like a rubber band, the further apart they are, the harder it pulls you. And so, to use kind of easy demonstration, if you have a $500,000 mindset and you're currently making $100,000 a year, it's going to pull your income hard up.
Yeah.
If you have a $100,000 mindset and you got lucky and you made $300,000 in 2021 when the real estate market boomed, it's not going to last. It's going to pull you back down. And the reason I bring that up is that some people that get into the real estate industry only have a mindset strong enough to create their own job, not a business.
Yes.
And there's a big difference. There's a big difference between the mindset of being self-employed and building a business that benefits others. And that's kind of the classic mom and pop shop where they're going to run their own business and basically be self-employed. Yeah. They're going to be their own employees.
They own a job, not a business.
They own their job, and they're never going to work themselves out of it.
And when they're gone, it's over, kaput.
Yep.
Right. So it's so true. It's so true. When people work in a corporate job, they're helping build someone else's business.
Yes.
But then they fail to build their own business when they become self-employed. They don't realize that there is either through neglect or through intention, 10 years from now, you will arrive.
Yes.
The question is where.
Yes. Agreed. Agreed.
Absolutely. All right. So a quick piece of trivia for Matt. Matt,
bring it on.
What is your favorite food? If someone out there decides they want to take you to lunch and ply your ear, how can they tempt you?
Oh my gosh. Wow. Charlottesville is known for its food. There's quite a lot of options. Off the top of my head, Citizen Burger on the downtown mall is about as good of a lunch spot
Elize, write that down because we got to visit We're gonna take him out to eat there. Okay?
Yeah, it's about the best lunch spot I think for a burger that you can go in Charlottesville.
Sounds
there's
good.
quite a lot of options. There's a lot of good craft beer there as well.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
It's a great place to be.
Okay, so that's how you get in a room with him. He will go, I think. If you invite him there.
I will show up for a burger and beer.
Awesome. Matt, how else can they best get in touch with you?
The best way to reach me is probably Instagram. Like you said, I put a great deal of intention towards answering as much as I can on my phone. So my Instagram is @Matt Kneece, Kneece, and Facebook as well, same name. You're welcome to reach out to me on Messenger, and I try to respond. I try to end every day responding to every message if I can.
That's awesome. Right, that way we're not a part of the 40%.
Yeah,
we're a part of the other.
Yeah, we stay in the top percentile.
That's right. Matt, thank you so much for coming by today, sir.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, that's it for today. See you guys next time. Oof.